world, we can shine together.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Booze your command. You have chosen
the Face Off Hockey Show.
I mean, hockey is my life. I've got on hockey underwear right now.
The Face Off Hockey Show. With Scotty Waz. Sean O.
breakaway. Take two stars. There we go.
And the P-Boys, Johnny and Mark with the C.
Yeah, baby.
You believe it not? Oh, yes.
Here's your host for the Face Off Hockey Show, Scotty Waz.
Hey, everybody. How's it going? Welcome to Face Off Hockey Show. I am indeed Scotty Waz. We had been talking about Adam Scorgi coming on, and we are in the midst of trying to get him. However, technical difficulties be as they may, with people not really familiar with the Google Hangouts LoJack. We're trying to figure out and trying to get a way to connect with him. So, producer of Ice Guardians, Adam Scorgi, will talk to him hopefully today. If not, we will find a way to reschedule. But the gang is all here. Johnny P, Mark with the C, and Lyle Richardson all here in this first hour as we were chomping at the bit to talk. And then Google Hangouts, not fun for people who don't use Google Hangouts that often, I guess. Hey, Johnny?
I guess so, yeah. I mean, I've done all the producing work I can do.
You've done what you could, except for the guest being produced in front of us, and that's your role, honestly.
I could have probably made that happen as well, but that's called kidnapping in most states.
I was going to say, you're not his manager, you're not his handler. So we will try to get Adam Scorgi on as soon as possible. But yeah, we're going to take this first call to talk to Adam, and now we're just going to sit here and write him stuff. Now we all of us were able to watch the movie without any hang up, without any possibility.
No passwords.
No passwords necessary.
I was the only one who watched the movie.
That was the parenthetical. There's no passwords necessary.
It. Yeah.
Actually,
that's right after that's a sequel, isn't it? To No Batteries Included.
That was actually the Chinese knockoff of Battery Time. I took notes. I took notes on everything.
Very cool.
Things.
Cool. I was just gonna go off memory here. Yeah.
It was really nice. I have my computer actually connected via HDMI directly to my 40-inch TV, so I watched it right on the 40-inch TV.
There you go.
Beautiful.
And John watched it. So by the Leahy Law of Transitive property, I watched it.
Yes, so. Yeah, that's true. Or Mark just watched it. One of the two. We're not sure.
Oh, that's true. Maybe Giuseppe watched it and both of them just fed off of him.
That's true. I can't wait until Leahy sees me with long hair. He'll never recognize me.
Oh my God, he'll be continually calling you Mark.
Yeah.
That's the only memory he has really
because
of Mark is in 2009. So when Mark had hair.
As of the Bald Brotherhood, Mark, we know the recedingness.
Yep.
Not fun. He'll be able to tell Mark because Leahy has the same thing. He's the Brotherhood of the Receding Hairline.
The Brotherhood of the Receding. Is that anything like the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants?
A little bit, but we use a lot less combs.
Gotcha.
Because it all falls out.
Just so you know, I'm only here for the first hour, guys. So.
Yes.
All right. I have this thing called life, unfortunately. So.
Rub it in. Why don't you?
I had to do my. I just finished doing my taxes up before I came on air.
I did my taxes this weekend.
Did you?
Yeah.
Tried to do my taxes yesterday, but they're telling me I have to do both my Canadian and American at the same time because I have to claim my American as the global income.
Oh,
so
right.
I have to do that whole big one hullabaloo of a thing.
See, that's why since I started being self-employed, I hired an accountant, but I still got to compile everything. So all the little things, like, because as you know, I have to subscribe to a lot of online shit, and it's not all porn. It is actually business stuff. I tried writing off the porn. It's like, come on, like, it's like anytime I would hear like Scotty do his readings of hockey erotica, I tried to write that off. You know.
There you go. Yeah.
But the accountant said no. The federal government will go for it. So.
They're just like, listen, Lyle. There's only so much spanking you can do.
Well, exactly. You know, they're all surprised that that my right arm isn't bigger than my left. Oh, did I say too much? Oh dear.
File in America because you get paid by American corporations?
No. Thankfully, I don't. But what happens is, whatever money that I make in the United States, it has to be converted over to what the rate of exchange was as of December 31st.
I see.
Of that year, right? So yeah, so I have to go back and check with fortunately the Bank of Canada has that, and that's what we go off.
Nice.
So but still, it's a royal pain in the ass compiling all this shit.
I see what you did there.
Thank you. Thank you. God, you know, I work so hard on subtlety. It's not my strong suit, you know.
I had a guy in Calgary when I lived there doing my accountant stuff, but now that I'm in Grand Forks, I don't think he knows how to do the U.S. side of things. So,
yeah, you guys. Well, yeah. I mean, I thought the
global,
Canadian was bad enough.
The global income of the U.S. side he deals with. I don't think he deals with 1040s and all that other U.S. straight stuff. So the internet. So I have to find a new person, which I have. Yep. So I have to go meet with them about all this crap because I go in the HR block. I'm like, hey, can I file this? Do you have any other income from other countries? I do. Ooh.
Ooh. That'll leave a mark. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And not a mark with a C. No.
Nope.
No. Mark with a $1 sign.
I'm not leaving.
Cha-ching.
Yeah. So.
But
taxes. Yay.
Oh God, yeah. Well, like I said, it took me 2 days. I had the first day compiling everything. Day one is always where the hell did I put all those receipts? Followed by day two, I've got to load all this shit into my spreadsheet that I built for myself,
now,
which works like a charm, but my God, that's tedious.
Since you do a lot of subscription-based stuff, isn't that like online receipts too? Like, can you get that online receipts gimmick?
Well, because a lot of it, what happens is a lot of it goes onto my credit card statement, which I get to the bank, and so I have to go through paper. I still keep paper, which pisses my bank off until I explain to them I need it for taxes. I'm self-employed, and then I have to go through with a yellow highlighter and go through. Oh my God, that's why I said it is tedious as hell. There, I mean, I'll have the tunes blasting in the background, and it's not enough to save me from the boredom. I actually get up and do laundry to have something exciting to do while I'm doing my taxes. That's how bad it is. I'm telling you, it's a 2-day affair, guys, and it's no fun.
Our guest, Lyle Richardson, here on 1040 Talk. You have tax questions.
It's W8.
1-877-913-9739 is the phone number. Fax line 9.
Welcome to Tax Talk. Welcome to Tax Talk, dear hon. How's that?
Can you get the natty boat off the thing? Can your trips down the ocean when you're going down and boogie boarding? Can you go down and take that off when you're on the boardwalk? Maybe get some Thrasher's fries, get a deduction on the vinegar. I don't know what you're going to do, but odds are if you have too much Thrasher's fries, you're going to be an ambulance. We're going to go to Chuck down in Canton. Chuck, what you got?
Hey, now how was that? How was that, though? I'm working on it.
I enjoyed it.
Not too bad. I mean, only do the
3.5 hours of work a week is working perfectly, Lyle. Soon you'll be able to go to Dundalk and fit right in.
Awesome. Well, ever since I got initiated with burger cookies, I feel like
I don't actually fit in Dundalk.
Well, I've been in Dundalk. It is not fun. It is not a fun time, hon.
And oh goody, I've got Flyers and Penguins. Okay, let the fighting begin.
Hooray! Between who? The Philly fans themselves? God, they're ready to unload on everybody.
Hey, it's not like you're choking a teammate or anything.
Oh my God, yeah, but you're right. They're willing. It's blow up the team time for the fan base there in Philly. But I can't say I blame them in a way. It's just. But, they got a lot of this is still a lot of that residue left over from the Paul Holmgren era. It was going to take time to dig themselves out of it. The worst thing that could have happened to them was making the playoffs last year, because it gave the fan base an elevated sense of hope that they otherwise should not have had.
In Philadelphia, that's odd because they don't usually have any kind of hope.
But they actually did this year because they're like, hey, they made the playoffs. Maybe they're not so freaking bad. And now it's just like, they're freaking crap. They're freaking crap.
They're still shit.
Oh, mind you,
hey, they're not so friggin' bad.
I'm trying not to swear too much because we're going to have a guest, apparently, maybe, possibly. So I'm trying to be kind of on my best behavior.
Johnny, you want to shoot a text over to him?
I already did.
Okay, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I gotta say though, yeah, that was very quickly. I want to say though, Ice Guardians. That was.
Let's talk about
that
this.
Was a very good movie.
That
very
was,
good documentary.
I was surprised at how many levels they were able to achieve on that.
Yeah.
In terms of telling the story of what the people are, the problems that come with it, obviously the injuries, and that whole concussion thing was interesting.
Yes.
The passing of Rick Rippon and Wade Belak and Derek Boogaard. Derek Boogaard actually made an appearance in the movie as well. So I'm trying to figure. I would love to ask Adam the time span on all this. But it was very well done. A nice variety of people they talked to as well. I think going from a neurosurgeon to a criminologist to the players to star players to the enforcers themselves. I mean, that was a nice little hodgepodge of people they spoke with.
And the media, mentioned in there as well with Jeff Merrick.
Jeff Merrick. It's not
kind of media with Jeff Merrick. Kind of media light.
More like a small, more than a medium.
Though I love that he dressed for the part. I'm so used to seeing him nowadays because when you see him nowadays, he's on Sportsnet, so he's always
he shows
in a
up
suit.
to the parties in suits. Lyle.
Yes, and then you see him on this, and it's like, wow, you really dressed down for this. Okay,
casual wear, and I'm surprised he didn't have a tank top on to show off his sleeve tattoo.
To show off the guns there, yeah. But the thing I like best about it, about that documentary was they did a terrific job, I think, sort of humanizing these guys, the humanized enforcers, because the perception really is among hockey fans that, okay, these guys are really kind of one-dimensional, kind of dumb, because the thing is, well, they fight, so their skills aren't that good. And it's like, well, actually, some of these, none of these guys started out to be enforcers. They started out with the dream of being like Wayne Gretzky or Bobby Orr or Mario Lemieux, and their skills weren't quite up to snuff for that. But the one thing they could do well was they could throw a punch and take a punch. And for some of these guys, that was the trip to the NHL. And the other thing that I liked about that as well was just how important these guys really are to the team and what they mean to their teammates. When you got a guy like Brett Hull saying that, he might not have had the kind of career he had if not for having guys like Tony Twist and Kelly Chase to give him that extra 10 feet of room out there. Like the enforcers, they garner a lot of respect in the room, and yet at the same time, they're like sort of like the most happy-go-lucky, and at the same time, they have what was it? One of the sociologists said that they have like the deepest sense of morals, like they have the strongest moral compass out of all of them. So, and they definitely have the best personalities, I think.
Playing the lively ones of the room, that's for sure. They always have a good story to tell and everything like that. So, it was a good flick. It just going over just the history of it too, and I don't know if the fan iteration was needed. I know you have to get fans into the project and things like that. That was kind of rough to see, even for those brief moments going to the San Diego Gulls game. Just like, well then.
But it was good though that they got like a group, right? They had the one lady that was like, I'm completely against fighting, and then they had like the two guys that were like, I don't know what's going on, and then the other guy that was like, I like fighting, type of thing. So it was pretty cool. What was I going to say? I think the biggest line for me was when they were talking about the difference between an enforcer and a goon. And I don't remember who it was. So there was just the straight through like George Paris and Wes Garth and McGrattan, and like those guys were in it throughout most of it. And at one point, one of them was like, "Well, you wouldn't know any of us if we were just goons." And I was like, it makes sense because like that means so they were good enough players. Good enough hockey players to stay in the NHL, the best league in the world, for 6, 8, 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
So they had to have been good enough to warrant a spot.
Yeah. And the other thing too is they also made the point of pointing out is that not all of these enforcers were one-dimensional players. there were guys who could play the game as well as fight. And, you can rattle them off. It goes all the way back to, when they talk about John Ferguson being the first real enforcer who came in. But John Ferguson, and I'm old enough to remember the final season when he played on a line. He played on the first line with Jean Béliveau and Yvan Cournoyer. And I remember a Montreal sports writer years later describing that line as equal parts grace, speed, and pure menace. But it worked because nobody took any liberties with Béliveau or Cournoyer, two Hall of Famers, when Fergie was on the ice with them. But at the same time, he could play. The guy could get 20 goals. He could play. It wasn't that he was just garbage. I can remember again, like Dave Schultz, and that was the other thing I liked about this. Dave the Hammer Schultz was in this too. And he played, I remember, in fact, it was kind of funny. About 10 years ago, I got the Philadelphia Flyers, like Greatest Games in Flyers History DVD set. And looking back on games like in the Stanley Cup final, like both games when they won their Stanley Cups against Boston and against Buffalo, Dave Schultz is skating on the first line with Bobby Clarke throughout those games and not looking out of place. I mean, Dave Schultz scored 20 goals in 73-74. For all the talk of, he was a fighter. Yeah, he was known for that. But, yeah. Oh, I think we have our guest.
Joined now by our guest now, producer of Ice Guardians, Adam Scorgie. Adam, how are you, sir? Thank you for joining us.
I'm doing good. And yourself?
Doing very
Thanks for having me on, guys. Sorry I'm late. I didn't know I had to get the app, and I was just on my way to the gym, so I'm downloading the app, but I'm pulled over, so everybody sees me in my car. I'm not driving.
Perfect. There we go. Keeping it safe and sound. We're just talking about the Ice Guardians, all rave reviews from us. Tell us a little bit about the behind the project. Just what was the your push to get this out there, to get this message of the enforcer role out to the public. And how long did this take for you to bring all together?
Well, I'm proud to say it took 8 years now because of how well the players and everybody's receiving it. But it was a daunting process because I was learning how to get NHL footage rights and how to do that. And the main reason why I did this is I went to school with Scott Parker and Todd Fedoruk, and that's when I really kind of fell back in love with hockey. I lived overseas. I lived in Edmonton. Was born in Canada, but then, and I played hockey when I was young, but then I moved overseas and I'd totally fallen out of love with hockey. I didn't play it. I didn't watch it. I didn't care about it when I moved back to Canada until I went to school with Parker and Fedoruk. And I went to high school with them when they were playing for the Rockets, and I saw and got to know them as people as they were climbing through the ranks of trying to make out, their NHL. And that's when I got fascinated with the role and saw that there was so much more, with these guys as human beings as what was often portrayed in the media. So that was the start of the 8-year process into bringing it to life and releasing it now.
Now, you talk about getting the rights and everything like that. How much of a headache was that? Because I'm sure for a small-time filmmaker, and most of your things are crowdfunded sources on Kickstarter and things like that, how difficult of a process was that for you?
It's impossible, and dealing with the NA. That's what took the six out of the 8 years was trying to navigate how to do that. And I met with different various vice presidents of the NHL and all that. And then I was introduced by other documentary filmmakers. They're like, you need to get educated on the wonderful world of fair use. And I was like, what is that? I had a document. He waved his arm. He's like, oh, I just fair used in my previous projects. I'm like, is that a magic wand that you go like this and everything gives it to you? That right, and then I learned all about navigating fair use and worked with now probably the most prominent lawyer in North America, Donaldson and Califf out of California. They do all the big inside job, all stuff, and they were the ones that educated me on how to do that and get the footage. And then we got the footage from collectors all over the world that wanted to see a story. So we got fight footage collectors. There's quite a little underground of that, of who has the most fight footage and all that. It's an interesting world in itself.
Did you learn more about that underground world, about the people who enjoyed the fights as much, especially hockeyfights.com is the go-to for that, and all that? Were you surprised at just how many people were into that sort of thing?
No, I mean, I knew that going in. That was, why I thought this was always, such a great subject matter. Is every year it's a debate on whether it belongs in the sport or not. So for a good doc, you want to have, a polarizing effect in there. And then, I'd followed hockey fights and stuff for years. I had lost hours at work when you're like, oh, I didn't know these guys fought, and then it leads into these two guys fought, and then and then you look 3 hours later, like, oh my god, I have so much work to do. Right? I didn't watch.
Yeah, I've definitely fallen into that trap on Wikipedia before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's and that in itself, it was really fascinating. Is like, how does this whole subculture, how is it no other sport has that and has a whole site dedicated to that and has guys arguing? It all started like David Singer, who started Hockey Fights, he's one of our producers. He started it just because, before there was video, he used to just do blog posts about it. And, whoever was their favorite tough guy for their team, they'd be like, oh, well, Crowder beat this guy on such and such night. Another guy would be like, no, I was there and that's not how it went. And that's how the voting system started, right? And he just left that. And then once video came, it was much easier to get the voting system to be, I'd still say it's not 100% accurate, but pretty hard to argue video now when it just used to be people's perception of how they saw the fight.
Adam Scorchi from Ice Guardians, the executive producer, joins us right now. Lyle, you have something?
Well, I mean, first of all, I just want to say that what I really liked about your film, I watched it this afternoon, and I definitely enjoyed how you humanized these guys, because it's very easy for hockey fans to forget that these guys, these aren't, one-dimensional dumb goons who just, they're there to chuck knuckles. I mean, these are human beings. These are guys, and how valuable they actually are. I think you did a terrific job in showing that role, how important it is to the team and to the players. I mean, and to have somebody like Brett Hull say, I wouldn't have had the career I had if I didn't have guys like Kelly Chase and Tony Twist out there giving me that extra 10 feet to work with every night. So I was really, really impressed by that. And as well, the fact that this whole thing, whenever the call to get fighting out of the game comes up, how it's always tied to concussions, and you guys did a terrific job of showing how, in fact, it's almost 95% of concussion injuries, as you show, come from collisions, not from fighting. And I can't recall now who it was. One of the guys you had on, I think maybe it was McGrattan, I'm not sure, who was saying he never got a concussion from fighting, yet Sidney Crosby's had more concussion than he's had, which is quite telling. So, I definitely wanted to commend you on that. And very quickly, I'm just wondering, with the way that the game is changing now, and I mean, how we're seeing how coaches prefer players that, because they like to roll 4 lines and they prefer to have guys who could, have a different multitude of skills they bring to the game. Do you think that there's still a role for the enforcer where they can still do that job, but at the same time be that guy who can be first or second line guy, or out there killing penalties or working the power play, that sort of thing?
100%. And I mean, I'm going to confess that I am a diehard Edmonton Oilers fan here. And if you want to see a team that is doing that right now in today's league, everybody's praising, and I've been following the Oilers, even the past decade when they were god awful, right? And they'd make all the comparisons with all the young blood that were coming in of how they're like the Oilers of the 80s. But even the Oilers alumni said, you guys are forgetting a very key element that we had in the 80s that was not, wasn't apparent on this team until this year and last year, is toughness. Right? Yes, the high-flying 80s Oilers were super fast and super skilled, but they're incredibly tough and feared to play, as even Ice Guardians talks about with Clark Gillies. It's like, we hated going into Edmonton because you had Semenko, McSorley, McClellan, Messier. Like, it was a tough team to play, and the Oilers have done that again. And the enforcers just evolved. Now they become more of a Lucic or a Maroon or a Cassian, right? Where they can skate, they can play, and now they've been able to, but they can also defend their team if they need to. And that's a big element of why the Oilers are successful here that doesn't get enough credit. Yes, McDavid is phenomenal. Nobody's arguing that. Yes, Talbot has been phenomenal. But Oilers defense has a lot of holes. And one of the things that's allowed McDavid and these young guys to be so confident is they know they have protection now. You have, like, when McDavid gets played a little on the edge, when someone comes off the rails, Lucic is right on him. Maroon is on him. Cassian is on him. Nurse is on him. Whereas in the previous teams, you didn't have that. If somebody started running Taylor Hall, they would just kind of tuck their, other than Gazdic, and he's my boy. He was there, but he didn't get enough ice time. But they didn't have enough, and now they have much more of that. So there definitely is, I'd still say there's a role, you know, and you look at when the toughness isn't there and things happen like what happened to Gaudreau this year. You know, uncalled for slash, broke his hand. He missed 6 to 8 weeks. The Calgary Flames were way out of a playoff spot. Now they've kind of come back. So like always with sports, the sport's evolving, and, you know, some of the pure enforcers that, you know, had their role, you know, in the game a few years ago might not find a place now. But I wouldn't say that they didn't deserve it then. It's just that the guys have evolved. They're even better now, as all the players are better. If you look at the average skater in the NHL now compared to the 80s, right, he would be a superstar. So it's the whole evolution there, but I'm kind of long-winded here, but I definitely think that there is still a place. Toughness is still needed. They're just evolved now to more of like a Lucic or Maroon or a Cassian.
Adam Scorgi joins us. IceGuardians.com is the website. You can find all the dates on screenings, also the video on demand, and things of that ilk. Everything you have to deal with Ice Guardians on IceGuardians.com. Johnny?
Yeah, I'm just going to say thank you, first of all, for emails back and forth over the past week. I really enjoyed the pieces from, I think it was Dr. Silverwood, Victoria Silverwood. Yep. How she talked about how she's done a lot of research in talking with the people who playing in the European League versus the players in the British League that have rules that are a lot more like the NHL game, and how there are far more liberties being taken with players and more players being hurt and more players being run, etc. in the leagues without fighting. That was extremely interesting to me, and I have always seen that as being the deterrent of taking fighting out of the game. I always liked how that worked. I guess my question for you would be, how did you get this many players in this? I mean, there has to be like 25 players in this.
No, I think there's more. I think we've done 42 interviews in total, right? I think 30 of them were players. It came with, as you guys probably know, in the hockey community, unlike any other sport, there is a camaraderie and a tight-knit community. Like, when you're given the okay by one or two of them, the doors open. And what really happened for me is, obviously I had an inside track with Parker and Fedoruk. And then, you know, once I got them on side, and then Goddard, and, you know, we got a whole bunch of people. And the big thing is that they would reach out to other guys saying, these guys are finally asking the right questions. Because if you guys notice in the film, there's no narration, right? There's not a producer or a director pushing his narrative or his point of view of what they think should happen. We let the players say their voice, you know. And one of the biggest things, we brought Kelly Chase in on as a producer. And Kelly Chase had been approached about these things, these kind of films, dozens of times, even Last Gladiators, and he stepped away from it because he didn't like the angle they were taking. And, you know, they wanted to use his Rolodex. And once Kelly saw that we were telling the right story, I mean, he's the guy that brought, I don't know if you guys just watched it, because this is who he brought to the table. He brought Brett Hall, Bobby Hall, Chris Chelios, Rick Tocchet, Joey Kosher himself. Like, they all came, Wendell Clark, they all came because he said, you need to do this film. And I can't picture the film without those guys, right? So it was a combination of building trust, that we were telling the right story, that we were letting the players have their voice versus us pushing a narrative. And then once we brought Kelly on, then it just skyrocketed, and that's how we got Holly. And, you know, and it's fascinating when you brought up the Hull thing, because people who haven't seen the film will hear about that Hull quote, and they'll try to argue him. They'll be like, oh, I just don't believe that. He's such a good player. And I was like, not only did he say it in the film, he's been asked several times at screenings. I've been honored enough to share the stage with him and these other guys. They say, Brett, you say this, is that true? And he says 100%. He's like, when they say someone's fight or flight, I am flight. So he's like, I needed those guys to help me. And, you know, and he said one further when we did the LA or the St. Louis screening. He said, listen, he's like, one part that didn't make the film that I also said is, like, there was times when I played on teams where I'd gotten 2 or 3 points, and then I cooled down because I didn't have a team that would defend me if things got rough, and I was scared that someone would come after me. You know, and an interesting thing that was brought up to me during the film, and Wendell Clark puts this great, is that, you know, a lot of people don't realize that a clean hit can cause a concussion and end somebody's career. Shoulder to chest, as we explain in the film, you know, makes a guy's head snap. It causes the rotational motion of the brain, and a guy gets a severe concussion. They just did an article in the Hockey Writers today that Eric Ekblad is like 1 or 2 concussions away from being done. And he's not a fighter, right? He's a first overround D-man, but now that you can't hold up your wingers and the guys are getting creamed into the boards in the back, you know, but so Wendell put it this way, which is fascinating. There's going to be a bonus clip coming out here in the next couple of weeks to promote the DVD. And he said, I never looked at fighting as that violent. And I mean, when we're doing the interview, you have a mic, and I'm kind of thinking, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, no, it's clearly violent, right? And then he goes, let me tell you what I mean by that. He's like, when I engage to fight with another grown adult, and we both willingly drop the gloves and agree to this level of violence, that to me never seemed that violent. What seemed really violent to me is when I'm skating up ice and I have my head down or I'm looking away and a guy hits me with a clean hit, open ice, and yard sails me and gives me a concussion. He's like, at least with the fight, I had the opportunity to agree to that level of violence. With the clean open ice hit, I didn't agree to that level of violence, yet you assaulted me, right? Like you just creamed me and gave me a concussion. So he's like, you know, it's interesting when you talk to people that are like, I love a good clean hit, but I hate the fighting. And it's from guys like Wendell Clark, arguably one of the best power forwards to ever play the game. He is much more worried about the open ice hit than he is in engaging in a fist fight with another guy.
And I think that's why a lot of the most respected coaches in the league, when you ask them if they're, you know, if they're enforcer type guys, which, you know, these days is takes on a little bit of a different meaning than it used to. But when they say, hey, how do you feel about that 17 minutes that your guy got in the second period because he got an instigator penalty and dropped the gloves? And he's like, well, he was defending one of my best players. So I feel really good about that.
Yeah, well, and that's it. And as Lyle had brought up, you know, that I think director Brett Harvey did so well was really showing how important these guys are to their team, right? And that's a dynamic that unless you really dive into this, or if you're on the bench yourself, is often overlooked, right? And that's the amazing thing is once we had these guys on board, like the doors, when the team enforcer calls his team to do a favor for us for this film, it is crazy what they do, right? Like Gazdic asked, when we first released the trailer, he asked Taylor Hall and Connor McDavid to tweet it out. Instantly they were tweeting it out, right? Like for that guy. Whereas, you know, there is a respect there. And I think Tocchet says it in the film really well, where he just says, you know, when the whole team is standing up and praising this guy for what he did, and he's getting that kind of, you know, support and respect from his peers, I think outsiders need to look at that instead of just looking at his actions and looking at how the team reveres him, which is something I think Ice Guardians and director Brett Harvey did so good, is really showing, as your point, Lyle, that these guys, it's so much more than fighting that they bring to the table. You know, and this is often asked me when people say, where do you think the game's going to go? And to follow up on that is, you know, it evolves to, you know, what everybody thinks best for the sport, I support. But something I hope doesn't leave is that, you know, the passion and commitment that these enforcers brought, because it wasn't just the fighting element, as we talk about in the film, that sometimes the team wanted. They wanted that guy that is willing to do anything to help his team. Drop the gloves, take a hit, block a shot, whatever is needed. There's lots of times teams brought that guy up because they wanted that element in their dressing room. Here's a guy that's got 1/100th of your talent, but he will do anything to play in the NHL and make his dream come true. And if you had 1/10 of his heart, you could be in the Hall of Fame. And I hope that wherever the game evolves to, and whatever kind of violence and level of physicality it evolves to, that you never lose that element, because that to me was the biggest takeaway from the enforcers that I got, that they brought to their teams, was they brought so much more than just the fighting that most people saw.
Yeah, and I just want to raise very quickly. I think when you saw the reaction that John Scott got at the All-Star game in 2016, not just from the fans, from the players. And I mean, some of these guys he had played alongside with and played against. And that was not phony respect or anything like that, or they weren't mocking him or anything. Like, they went out of their way because they also knew the backstory about how, you know, the league and Coley Campbell and his little snide remark about, oh yeah, something that your kids will be proud of. And they really went out of their way to, you know, really make him feel like he belonged, and to show, you know, listen, this guy, you know, we respect him. We respect what he can do. It may not seem like a lot, but to the average fan or to the pundit watching, but to us, guys like him mean everything. And there was very interesting, really quickly. There was a clip in there, Brian McGrattan saying how Mike Camilleri had been with the Flames for a couple years, and Cammy saying to him at one point, saying, he said, all you have to do is just sit on the bench. You don't even have to go out on the ice. Just be on the bench, and everybody I don't have to worry. I'm okay. I know. Okay, no, nobody's going to take a run at me tonight. Or when the Habs got George Parros, little Dave Desjardins saying, "Oh, I'm so glad we got this guy." Because now he had room to move. Yeah, he didn't have to worry
little
about
things that unless you spend a lot of time with a team, you just don't know. Like, I heard a great story from Brian Muir, who played several years in the NHL, when he watched the Toronto premiere, and he came up to me in tears. He was there with his two boys. He's like, "Oh my God, Adam, this hits so home for me. I love this movie." He's like, "I got a great story to tell you." It's like, it's when I was first cracking the league, and like every player, you're trying to be effective and be energetic and tenacious out there. And he's like, "So I laid out Peter Forsberg. Clean hit, but I yard sailed him," right? He's like, "I got him." And I was like, "Yes, I felt good." He's like, and I was like, "Coach is going to notice me." He's like, and I turned around to Chris Simon, and he put his stick under my chin like a gun, right? And he said, he's like, "If you ever hit Peter Forsberg like that again, I will fucking kill you." Sorry about swearing on here, but
all the time.
No,
yeah. So he said that. And then Brian Muir's like, and he's like, and his face dropped when he did a great way of telling it. He's like, "I never hit Peter Forsberg like that again for the rest of my career." Now we were laughing like we're all doing there, but he's like, "But think of this, think of the seriousness to this." He's like, "That was a clean hit that could have caused a concussion. It didn't, thankfully." He's like, "Now that we're aware of what kind of damage that can do to people." He's like, "But I played Peter Forsberg 2 to 6 times a year, for 4 or 5 years. I could have done that to him, once a game for my entire career, right? And all it took was Chris Simon's threat that he might have fought me, and it prevented it, right? All that cumulative damage, just the threat."
That's the kind of threat that, like, years later, even when Chris Simon's retired, you still don't go to the Peter Forsberg.
Yeah.
You might know where you live.
Exactly. You're walking down a hallway with Peter Forsberg, and you go on the other side. You're like, "Never hit Peter Forsberg. I learned my lesson." Like,
you wouldn't even sneeze on him. Chris Simon will jump out of nowhere. Yeah,
exactly. As is his want.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, look at it on the other side of the scale. Again, I'm going to go back to the Oilers just because that's the team I watch the most, being a fan. And you look, when they lost Stortini and they didn't have Larocque, and before Gazda came in, and we had all those high-flying first-round draft picks, everybody thought, "Oh, this is the new Oilers." And they got pushed around many games. I remember one game in particular where the Oilers, one of the rare times we beat Vancouver when they were a really good team, we were up 4-1. I think Taylor Hall got it like one of the fastest hat tricks in NHL in Oilers history. And Biesca went and slashed him on the thumb so hard. Right, I thought he broke his hand. Hall went off, but then he did come back on the ice, and you could hear what Biesca was saying. But he said, that'll never fucking happen again, right? And that was marking his territory. And sure enough, we had a home and home, and the Oilers went to go play, and the Oilers got spanked 5-1. And I don't think the Oilers beat the Canucks for like another 2 years after that incident. And Hall was invisible because Biesca marked his territory and said, "Never again." Right, and nobody did anything. The team didn't defend him. Hall just went off injured, and that's kind of what Howard Bloom talks about. The human behavior specialist in the film talks about. It's either fight or flight, right? It's human instinct. We can try to argue that as much as we want. Harsh contact or physicality or violence will either make you want revenge or it'll make you feel like a loser, right? And that was one of those circumstances. And I'm a Hall fan, but that's one of those times when he got intimidated and his game shut down. Not only then, but watching the Oilers, we got spanked by, like, every time it was on the Canucks, all my Vancouver friends would text me and be like, "Do you want to bet on the game?" I'm like, "What? I want to donate money?" I was like, "It's a guaranteed loss," right? It was just an ass kicking for like 3 years.
Oh, goodness gracious. Adam, with all this critical acclaim, was this everything you ever hoped for and more, what you got out of this from the people you talked to? Obviously, you talk about the players coming up to you, but just the fan response as a whole. Is this more than you could have imagined?
Yeah, it is. you know, very surreal. I'm lucky I have some great friends from high school and stuff that I can, because there's moments when you geek out, like you see like another NHLer tweet about it and saying unbelievable, like Steve Ott did the other day, and he's like, unbelievable, this movie's amazing, you guys need it. Even though I got to work with all these guys, I still geek out at that stuff. So it is very surreal, and I'm constantly reminding myself, just, you know, for me, it truly was, and my team and the director, it was an honor for us to tell this story. So, you know, as soon as we premiered in Toronto and all the players loved it and their wives are in tears and they're like, thank you for telling the story, we'd already won the Oscar then. So at that point, as long as the player's story was honored correctly and they were happy, you know, the fans is just that added bonus. Like, it's just so awesome that it's connecting with the players and the fans, and that we did right by the guys. And, you know, the guys are really, you know, supportive of the film. It is, man. It is very surreal. It's a dream come true. I still have to pinch myself to be like, man, this is like our baby. Like, this 8 years, I wasn't crazy. I did I did have an idea that it was good, right? Like,
fighting with the NHL is worth it.
Yes.
Just like the Coyotes.
Exactly, just like the Coyotes. But here's the problem. The thing is that Adam actually got his move made, and the Coyotes didn't wait for the move. Therein lies the hook. Adam, thank you very much. There's 2 screenings coming up, one in the Harrisburg, Pennsylvania area, Tuesday, March 28th at the Midtown Cinema, 6:30 local time there. Then in Vancouver at the Rio Theater, March 30th, Thursday, doors at 7 p.m., movie at 8 p.m. When is this coming out on DVD? I know there was, you mentioned it earlier, and some people have asked me about it. I don't know if there's an official release date for the DVD.
No,
yet.
It's going to be either June or July. We're working on that because physical is, you know, it's not that common now, and you don't always do it for titles, but this one is so unique. Like, we've had literally so many people saying, I want the physical copy, that my distributor and I were like, well, shit, we better get these. Like,
yeah, Chris Simon will come get you if you don't.
yeah, Jesus, I better not hit Peter Forsberg. Don't hit Peter Forsberg, right? But no, it's again, and I want to be, you know, really thankful to the listeners and fans. It is in a day and age where stealing and downloading is so prevalent. You know, my team and I, honestly, you know, I'm trying not to get too emotional, are just honored that people want to spend the money and get the physical copy. And it says something, you know, I've learned more about the hockey community, is just how loyal they are. Like, our other films, normally right after you do a film festival, they're loaded everywhere, right? This one, I had friends of mine scouring the sites. They're like, man, it is like, there's a few of them out there, but not as prevalent as we would have thought, because the hockey community tends to be a community that likes to spend money and support things they like. They buy memorabilia for their favorite players. They buy their favorite jerseys. And with Ice Guardians, they're like, hey, steal this or get a digital copy. I want to buy a DVD and get my favorite tough guy or favorite player to sign it. So I want to send out a genuine and sincere thank you, guys. That is amazing that people want to do that. For indie filmmakers like me, I can't stress enough how far that goes for us. I know to a lot of downloaders, they're like, well, what's $5? I'm like, it's not that much when it's one person, but when it's 10,000, you know, and you're an indie filmmaker trying to be able to make your next project, it's huge to guys like us. It really is the difference of us being able to stay in this industry, or just doing one film and then having to quit and say, yeah, I did one great film, but I was never able to continue, right? So thank you. And the DVD, sorry, long-winded answer. I'm a kind of long-winded guy, but DVD will come out July. It's sometime June or July, and it'll be available on Amazon, and we'll be ordering in like bundles of 100. I know that doesn't seem like that many, but you have to pay storage, and because I'm not doing the manual shipping. It's not like, hey, you know, Lyle orders the DVD and I'm going to put it in the box for him, right? I don't have that much time. I wish I could. I just don't have that much time. So it would be it'll go on Amazon, and then you'll order 100, and then when those go, there'll be another 100, and then those will go. And I think we're going to do a couple hundred Blu-rays too, because a lot of people are asking about that. So, but it will be, I won't have a hard date, but if you guys follow us on our social media sites on Facebook and Twitter, you'll see we have like a 95% response time. As soon as the date comes out, we'll announce it and we'll be in touch with you, and we'll let people know where exactly they can get it, and it'll be available.
And there you go, Adam Scorgi. IceGuardians.com, Twitter.com/IceGuardians, Facebook.com/IceGuardians. You want to follow Adam on Twitter as well? It's Adam, the word score, and a capital G, because he is a gangsta in the documentary film business. Adam, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. All the best to you in the future, and congratulations again on this project being such a success.
Thank you very much, guys, and I really appreciate you having me on and taking the time to talk about the film. Thank you very much. And sorry I was late. I was downloading the app. 3 kids at home. I apologize.
Life
we got
is
it
life.
done. It's all good, my friend. It's all good. We got it down there. Thank you, Adam.
Thanks, Adam.
All right, thanks for having me on.
Thanks.
There we go. Adam Scorgi. Trying to figure out the hang up button on this thing. And, there you go.
There you
Adam
go.
Scorgi. Out of here.
Yep.
What a great guy. What a just enthusiastic dude, too.
Yep.
Awesome.
Well, I can, like I said, I mean, yeah, I like I said, I stream that on my Android box, but yeah, I'm going to be, getting myself a hard copy of that, because it is a terrific documentary. I mean, as I said, I mean, I'm somebody who, I think there's a place for fighting, in hockey, if it's more of a spontaneous thing. I was never a fan of, kind of like the staged fights, that sort of thing. But, it was just, he just did a terrific job, I think, showing the human side of it all. And as he said, I mean, there was nobody driving the agenda. He let the players tell the story. And that was really refreshing,
Absolutely. That was a really, really solid interview and a good insight to what he is doing as well. All right, Lyle, since we have you for precious little time. And don't worry, there's not much, because it's NCAA signing season.
Ooh.
And people are all up on this. And by all up on this is not really one hot guy. Zach Aston Reese was the only guy, and the Penguins got him apparently from Northeastern, and also Gavin Bayreuther from St. Lawrence going to Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a time, like, are we at a dead era of NCAA prospects now? Unsigned NCAA prospects?
Well, I mean, this is the time. I mean, once the trade deadline's over, and we've got that 6 to 7 week gap heading towards the playoffs. That's when it's just like guys start going, yeah, okay, let's start looking at these unsigned college prospects and who are the best ones that are available, and let's see who we can grab. As I said, I don't really have very much to say regarding the sign. Oh, which was the best one? Which is the best one? Because it's really difficult to say which one of the how many of these kids are actually going to make it. There's not as much focus on it, and it's unfortunate compared to the NHL draft, where we're following junior players and the top European players, and they're all rated, so we know we kind of have a good idea going in which one of these guys are going to be are considered among the top prospects, compared to the college ranks, the NCAA ranks, where it's just sort of like, oh, they signed this guy, he's a top player, oh, okay, well, that's nice, well, let's see how he does in training camp.
Meanwhile, you don't have Nesson? You didn't pick up the Nesson package? The Nesson? So you can check out all these
NBC
young
Sports
kids.
is showing NBC Sports is showing some college hockey.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean,
time for the end of the season.
Like I said, it's unfortunate, but as I said, all my focus right now is on junior hockey, and especially in the Kumjo, because the Charlottetown Islanders, as I said last week, ranked 6th in the CHL, 6th overall in the CHL. Big things expected of them.
Hosting the Memorial Cup this year.
Couldn't catch the St. John Sea Dogs, the bastards. Not the Islanders, the St. John Sea Dogs.
Right.
Well, I mean,
got quite the rivalries going there right now.
If I would have known, I just would have picked them. They would have been snowed out for 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly right.
Actually, knowing my curse this week, they would have scored 40 goals. So
that's true as well. So, who is it? Windsor hosting the Mem Cup this year. So, only one from the Kumja getting in. Only one from the Kumja.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Gotta be ready. Gotta get down. Gotta get up. Lyle, there's teams hitting their stride in a big way. Look at those Calgary Flames. 10 games in a row.
Red hot Flames. Get your red hot Flames.
And then the Caps losing 4 before they ended the skid last night. who's hitting their stride, who's hitting a skid, who can benefit, who cannot benefit.
Well, I mean, of course, you mentioned the Flames. Of
I
course,
sure did.
Your Pittsburgh Penguins were winners of 6 in a row before they ran into the Flames. So they are the Stanley Cup champs are looking like Stanley Cup champs.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? St. Louis Blues, since the Shattenkirk trade, jumping. You don't think that all that drama and all of that was much of a distraction? Because seriously, since that trade, they're a completely different team. They've turned it right now. Oh, Jake Allen actually he started turning it around about late January
when
because
Mike Yeo came over.
There were when Mike Yeo took over full time, because the 2 months leading up to them, that play was ugly, but he's turned around. But the Blues as a whole have really turned it on of late. Boston Bruins coming on, the Ottawa Senators looking good right now. They're coming on as well. Hell, the Montreal Canadiens, even after doing the coaching change. Now, granted, they ain't playing the most exciting quality of hockey in the world. Oh boy. But they're winning, and that's all they needed. Was to win. So unless of course they fall behind 2-0 to a powerful team like Chicago Blackhawks. And that's another team that's rolling along pretty good right now too. So and as for clubs that ain't, well, Washington struggly. Maybe it's a good thing they're getting that out of the way now. I'm guessing.
I think it's funny that the Capitals lose 4 games on the West Coast.
Yeah.
And the Capitals fan base dives into the abyss of falling off of a cliff.
Johnny, the Caps fan
everybody
base
goes, "Oh my God,
base.
we've seen this before. The Caps are going to lose in the first round."
Nobody reacts that way.
Right. What are you talking about?
You're just avoiding the rush and diving into the pit of despair now.
Might as well.
I believe
hey.
Men in Blazers that put it best, where they said that they preemptively take control of their disappointment by being disappointed. So
it's not wrong.
But but also Minnesota Wild, who were they were red hot themselves for a while, losers of 5 of their last 7.
Is it a coincidence that they have lost all these games since I picked them to be the Stanley Cup finalists?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's more than coincidence. I think it's the Johnny P curse.
I'm surprised that one of their games in LA didn't get snowed out after.
Oh, speaking of the Kings, oh boy.
What's up?
It's not
looking good there.
It's not looking good
But
there,
no,
my
Ben
friend.
Bishop is there though.
Yeah, it's not looking good. Another team though coming on, Tampa Bay. Listen, 2 weeks ago I had written them off for dead, and now they are.
Vasilevsky's been playing well.
Oh my God! And they're only a point out of a playoff berth now. And Toronto, it's getting to be scary time for them. They're starting to shoot. Well, you can always gauge how the Leafs are doing by watching, just following Steve Dangle, because it's hilarious. It's funny when the Leafs lose and when they lose badly because his pain is hilarious. I'm sorry.
They could have just stopped at "it's funny when the Leafs lose," but you continued on.
Oh yeah, because his pain is hilarious. So but yeah. Islanders are kind of
after that whole Doug Waite, the Doug Waite honeymoon's now over. So
yeah,
it's a good goddamn about him anymore.
Yeah, and they're kind of Jesus. It's that damn goaltending. Though the savior survived. Yaroslav Halak being called up from Bridgeport. So
just in time for him to shit the bed again.
And but hey,
he's doing so well in the AHL. Yes.
Yeah.
That's why they make plastic sheets.
No, that's why they make plastic pants. The plastic sheets are for other things.
I don't know if you have water. Anyway,
liquid. Anyway,
eat a lot of Taco Bell.
They make a run for your border.
Hey-o. All right, Lyle. Well, we got 2 options here because that's really all we had to talk about. We can do the pick 'em and then to name the protected players.
Let's do the pick 'em, and can we do the name of protected players next week when I have more time?
Oh, sure, we can do that then.
Yeah, because I want to do that, but I don't have time. So let's do the pick 'em now, and because then I got to.
Last week, who's got 2 thumbs? This is got 22 goals for the Portland Winterhawks. This guy.
Hey.
22 for me, 15 for Johnny, 10 for Mark, and 5 for Lyle.
Yay! I sucked. Haha! In your
For the
face,
year.
Johnny. In your face.
Lyle's at 195. I'm at 185. Johnny's at 180. Mark at 140 deuce as we get to conference play. Conference playoffs this weekend for the NCAA, and then the week after that, they got we got the Sweet 16 right on a couple weeks away from the Frozen Four in Chicago.
This thing's already over.
Wow.
Chicago. Lyle, you're up first. We're doing the AHL this week. The AHL, the American Hockey League, started back in 1938. Everybody? No, I think it's 36. But they were named as the International American Hockey League then. The I-AHL.
Oh, by the way, may I say, caught the latest Soderstrom bubble when you guys were doing the 1970s. It was.
Did we do it justice? Okay.
It was wunderbar, and I'm hoping, like I said, we get a chance to go on there so I can like kind of reminisce and.
Yeah, we will WHA it this week, and then we'll work on trying to get the whole telecommunications figured out.
Absolutely, because but yeah, you guys did you and Jen did a tremendous job. Kudos, you guys did a great job covering all of it. It was just like, well, like I said, it was a wonderful flashback, and not because of the drugs. It was
exactly. All right, Lyle, you are the first contestant of the Price
I'm the
is
first
Wrong.
contestant up, so of course I got to stick with my wrestling thing. Okay, very quickly, who have I picked in the AHL before? So I don't pick them again.
Jesus, you're springing this on me. Oh no.
Oh no. Ha ha.
The Bridgeport Sound Tigers.
Okay.
You've picked before.
Okay.
You've picked the Owen Sound. No, that's not it. No, Roanoke's not. No, not Reading. Stockton. You've picked Stockton before.
Okay.
And you've picked Stockton before. You went on a run of Stockton.
Okay, I'm going with the Ontario Roman Reigns.
There it is. Ontario.
There you go. There you go.
Roman Reigns. Now I lost my fucking place. God damn it. There we go. 13. No, that's not it. That's when we didn't have the name. All right, Ontario. Mark, you're up.
Let's see here. In honor of tax season, I'm gonna go with the team that plays in the Quicken Loans Arena.
Hey!
The Cleveland Monsters.
Good one, Mark. Good one.
Monsters. Johnny.
I was gonna stay in the tax thought as well. I mean, I'm done my taxes, so I already missed the Syracuse Crunch.
Yeah.
I laughed.
I laughed. I cried.
He got it. He laughed.
I was drunk enough to sleep on the floor.
There it is. I am going to, since my newfound love for Newfoundland.
Oh!
Shout out
Actually, that should be a song on your first album.
Oh, it should be.
Newfound love for his Newfoundland.
There we go. And because I don't like coffee that much, I'm taking these St. John's Ice Caps.
That's not coffee, but I will accept it.
By the way, they have a thing down here called frozen hot chocolate at the Tim Hortons. And Jen hates every
oxymoronic in it.
It is.
Time I ordered.
Frozen hot chocolate. Oh,
So
just
I
call it a fudgesicle and have done with it. Jesus.
It's actually just the chocolate milk with like ice chips in it.
Frozen hot. Oh my.
Frozen hot chocolate though.
Whoo.
That's what I order, and Jen just stares daggers through me every time.
That's why he ordered, so she'll stare daggers.
Essentially.
Yes. Yes.
All right, Lyle. Well, you did your hour. You're out of here.
Yep.
You got your contractually obligated hour done.
My contractually obligated hour is done. I'm still getting paid, right? That check's been in the mail a long time. 13 years, guys.
Talk to our
all of our assets are currently being seized. They're kind of frozen right now.
The kind of audit. You use the Trump.
Like Scotty's hot chocolate.
Everything's under audit right now. It's all under audit. Once the audit's done,
we gave all your money to a charitable donation to the Human Fund. So people helping people.
I'm never seeing my money, am I?
Oh, Lyle. No, you're not.
Lyle,
Ever.
your check has all the zeros.
All right.
Lyle, your
well,
money is.
Let's just put it this way, Lyle. Your check probably won't screw up your taxes very much.
That's
true.
great.
Yeah.
I will say this: all the money that you have made over the years for us is being put into our Lego Oyo Stadium project.
Which, by the way, you got a pretty good shout out from Oyo on Twitter.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I had another weekend because I bought another goalie.
Yeah. Somebody had another weekend.
We still need to get Oyo on and see if they'll make custom Oyos of us and send them to us.
They do have that custom Oyo figure thing coming out soon. So very
That's what I
possible.
mean. But we should get stuff for free. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's all we're saying. Yeah. Swag. If we can't have money, we'll take swag.
It's not a hockey show. I mean, we should get stuff for free.
We're Face Off Hockey Show. Yeah, we're horse.
Hey, I'll
Anyway,
definitely buy the DVD of Ice Guardians.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. Absolutely. Anyway, guys, I got to run next week. The usual bat time, usual bat channel. Have a good one, guys.
See you, Lyle. There he goes. Lowers. Let's talk shit about him.
Yeah, that was quick. He ejected himself quickly.
HockeyNews.com. Fox
He must have had to
Sports
poop.
no longer Guardian Island. Guardian Island. Bleacher Report. There's no slideshow, but poop. All right, gentlemen. What else do we do with our week? We got the hockey.
This
the
might
hockey
be the
stuff out of
best
the way.
show ever.
We got the hockey interview stuff out of the way. Now it's just us.
I like I said, I finished my taxes. I do actually have to pay business taxes as well, but because I'm in the United States entirely, I feel like it's easier than Lyle's. And my way of filing receipts and such is to put them on top of my dresser. So I'm sure I missed some receipts, but I don't really care that much.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
You're okay.
I think I'll be fine. I paid tax. I mean, I paid self-employment tax again this year, so I'm pretty certain the IRS will be okay with that.
Sure.
And I got money back, so that's good.
Boom. That's always the best.
Yeah, buying a house really helps people.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, it's
I
weird.
should look into that. It's going to kill my credit and mortgage rating, but who cares?
Plus, getting a letter that said I donated $1,000 to the Boys and Girls Club because I took pictures for their gala really helped a lot as well.
Wow. They might get audited if they hear this.
Well, no. They got charged $1,000 in the past to have pictures of this taken.
Really?
And the pictures that people took were crap. So I told VP Death that I would come and do them for free, and that he just had to give me a letter that said I donated $1,000. He was like, "Sold,
done. We can do this, guys." That's tremendous.
So yeah, so helped out all the taxes, got them taken care of,
and great pictures for the Boys and Girls Club of Baltimore.
Yep, true story. We had the snowstorm of there was
meager
some
means
snow and some ice and some more snow and a little bit more ice.
It was definitely like New Testament biblical, though. It wasn't Old Testament biblical proportions for sure.
Yeah, and then the sun came out and it all went away. So I got off work. Well, I didn't technically get off work. I had to work from home.
Still counts.
So I didn't have to drive anywhere, so that went well. And then now I am off work for 2 days, Thursday and Friday, because people in my office don't realize it's the beginning of the NCAA tournament. So I took off both days. True story.
Attaboy.
Thank you. My bracket, affectionately known as $10 donation, will probably be out and busted within, I'd say, 45, 50 minutes. So I should be fine. Actually, Mark, I'd watch out this year because I didn't watch a single NCAA basketball game, which means I'm going to win somehow.
Yeah, I definitely didn't watch anything either, so I'm right there with you.
I watched North Dakota win the Big Sky Conference. That's about it.
How big is this guy?
It's big. They're actually. It's funny. They won all these championships in the Big Sky. They won volleyball, football, women's basketball, men's basketball, and they're leaving the Missouri Valley Conference next season. So
that's smart.
Because they're playing teams like UC Sacramento. Like that's
What's
a
wrong with
rival
that?
school. The closest school I think is like I don't know, Montana State.
And I'll give
Montana's a big
I'll give a
state.
shout out to Duclaw's Devil Milk, which will get me through the rest of the show.
There it is. I can't drink. I gotta work tonight.
Ah,
I start my overnight rounds at the hospital. Woot woot.
I feel like that. Feel like I'm good.
Nice.
I need to put in a quick reminder to send Sean Leahy the show again in August. And if you don't think I'm going to,
Make sure you put it in your Google Calendar and have like a reminder of like 3 times an hour.
I'm putting it right into my send Sean Leahy show from what's today?
15th.
The Ides of McClure.
It is the Ides of
Yes,
McClure
it
today.
is the Ides of McClure.
3, 15, 17. And that'll be done on what day?
August
I mean, he's
8th.
gonna listen, so I'm probably gonna just make it. Let's stop. Oh, August 6th
There it is.
at
days
6
before the-
o'clock. 6 o'clock in the morning.
2 days before the 17th anniversary of the Face Off Hockey Show. 17th season.
Perfect.
Sorry. Mark,
Yay.
how was your
What's
week, buddy?
Yeah, it was good.
Your
Good.
week?
I had a weekend. It was good. Looked at some new flooring. Perhaps thinking about taking some carpet out and laying down some hardwood, if you know what I mean. Mm,
Renovation.
yeah.
Renovating the Cow Palace.
So yeah, I was at the 2 big box, you can call them that, hardware stores. I will
Home
mention one by name if they choose to give me a discount on my flooring.
So
Despot?
you went to Ace and the local hardware store.
Yes, exactly.
Was it Herndon Hardware?
It was Sterling.
Oh.
Sterling Hardware. Yes,
I would
because
thought
That
there'd be more
actually
of a-
that makes way more sense. I feel
I
like if
thought-
there was a jeweler there,
I
that
was
would be
gonna
good.
say, if they were more of a silver place, then yeah, that works perfectly.
well, the Silver Line is coming out here through Sterling.
Oh, the irony.
The Sterling stop on the Silver Line is going to be a thing. How
I
about
hope it takes exactly 9 minutes and 25 seconds to get to the next place.
that? Is that the threshold?
Sterling silver is normally what 0.925%, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't know. I just learned something.
I'd have to look it up.
I almost put Sterling Sliver. I think
That
he
was
like a point
wasn't
guard.
that the movie with Sharon Stone?
Yes. Silver of 92.5% purity
See, got it.
and 7.5 by weight of other metals, and
Yes.
usually copper.
Which would equal 100.
Boom.
Math. Pi Day. Take that.
What's better, Pi Day or Mole Day?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I would say Pi Day. Pi Day. I'm
Did you
gonna
see
go
all
with
the
Pi Day.
people that got pied yesterday?
Yeah, I did.
And
I don't
speaking
get
of
it.
which,
I don't
did you guys
get it.
the latest Mount magazine?
I have not got the latest Mount.
Look
magazine.
at
I haven't
look
got
at
a Mount.
this, look at this guy.
Oh Jesus! Ball game.
And can you read this? It says this is fantastic. This is so up his alley. He might have wrote this headline himself. On sports features on page 14, Cameron steps up to the plate. I think he wrote that headline himself.
Had to have. I haven't gotten a Mount magazine. I think in like 16 years.
That's because they don't ship to Canada, first of all, and then second of all, they don't know that you moved back to the United States.
But I got the redirect. I got the redirect mail.
I bet you if you showed up at your parents' house, they've got like 4 years of Mount
Oh no, because
magazines.
they would have sent that to me.
Oh,
Like, we don't want this garbage. They would send it to me in Christmas
I think my
boxes.
parents have Mount magazines that come to their house.
Wow, it's amazing. Oh God, anything else good in there?
Rod Cameron.
Best
I
guy.
did not
best
know
guy.
his first name was Rod.
Really.
Wasn't it Mister?
I had him for algebra. I remember having him for an algebra teacher. That was weird.
Did he say ball game at the end of algebra
In a
class?
class. Ball game. All right. What that means we're gone now? I don't know. What does that mean? I don't know. I'm doing some the Pythagorean theorem. I don't know what the hell is going on. I don't know what that is. Anyway, all right. So Mark found flooring on the weekend.
Yeah, that was more or less my weekend.
We had a hockey weekend. North Dakota finally showing up at home. Swept their best of 3 series in 2 games. Thrilling overtime victory where there was no defense whatsoever. So yeah, North Dakota's in. They're moving on to the Frozen Four in Minneapolis this weekend, and then if they win at least one of the games that they play this weekend, they're in the NCAA tournament, according to about 700,000 RPI ratings. So they got that going for them. So that means Jen and I could be going down to Fargo to see the regionals.
North Dakota, right?
Yeah, hell yeah, North Dakota.
Because
North Dakota
no
against there's no D. Who the hell they were playing? They're playing St. Cloud State. There's no D's or St. Cloud State.
St. Cloud. St. Cloud.
Claude.
St. Cloud State and North Dakota.
North Dakota. That can be considered racist somehow.
Yeah.
You know, everything's racist nowadays. Here we go. We got some injuries to report.
Oh, hold your set.
We're holding a second. I'm seeing Johnny's fine blender back there. I think he's got a toaster.
That's actually a watchfinder. My toaster is over there.
All right, wait, what's that red thing behind you?
It's a watchwinder.
All right, then.
I can turn it on. What it does is you stick watches in there that you have to that need to spin in order to keep them kinetically charged.
Okay.
And I can see how they're spinning.
It's spinning. It's spinning.
Oh.
It's spinning, Johnny. It's spinning. It's spinning, Johnny. It's spinning.
See, I put my Oakley watches in there, and it'll keep spinning and it'll keep them charged.
It almost feels like an old-timey radio station.
It looks like it, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna put I don't leave my Oakley watches in there though, because those are kind of expensive. And I feel like the first thing that somebody coming into the house that would like to rob things are like, oh look, something red with about $6,000 worth of watches in them. Sure, I'll take this.
This seems good, and I'll take the blender too.
Might as well. Actually, the blender was only $5. That came from Kohl's.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Well, there we go. We've learned something new about Johnny's house. It's a watchfinder.
Oh. Okay.
Now it's going the other way.
It has to go back to
No, now you're unwinding them.
No, all they have to do is move. They don't have to. It doesn't matter which direction they go in. God.
Well, Mark has had a hard day. It's got to unwind a little bit.
Once it's fully charged, it unwinds, so it takes the charge out.
Oh, that's tremendous. Some injuries. Hendrik Lundqvist, lower body injury. He's out 2 to 3 weeks. Luckily, everyone's pro Antti-Ranta, so he'll have a nice shot in net for the Rangers. Was mentioned by Adam Scorgi, Aaron Ekblad. Concussion, 7 to 10 days. A lot of people saying this is pretty rough for a guy like Aaron, as young as Aaron Ekblad, have another concussion on his chart. So we'll see how that goes. Toby Enstrom, concussion, he's out indefinitely. Ryan Murray, broken hand, 4 to 6 weeks, and Carl Hagelin, lower body injury, 4 weeks.
When does Ryan Murray start to coach the Capitals?
As soon as his brother Perry Murray gets into coaching.
I see. I figured they have to follow each other. So.
Of course they do. One will be the coach of the AHL team, and then the assistant coach of the NHL team. It works out perfectly.
Yes, I agree.
Caps. Kevin Shattenkirk suspended for 2 games for a charging incident where he leapt his feet and gave the people's elbow. Calgary on their longest winning streak since moving from the ATL, which, considering they had all those illustrious teams in the 80s, all the teams in the 90s, this is their longest winning streak since 1980.
It's the longest winning streak since Nero lit the place on fire.
Exactly. And now look at them. Now look at them playing. They're playing like they want to be a wild card position. My goodness gracious. And now here's the story that Mark desires. The former Glendale mayor said that it was leadership and not location that is killing the Phoenix Coyotes in Glendale. She said that it was because the ownership group of Glendale, including Anthony LeBlanc, is killing the entire thing of the Arizona Coyotes in Glendale. It's not the fact that they're 45 minutes out of everywhere. It's the NHL when they owned them, and it's the owners before the NHL, and it's the owners after the NHL screwing the pooch for Glendale.
And it's hard to kill a cactus too.
It is. Really is. You don't need water. Here's the thing, and this is just me. When you're 45 minutes away from any metro area, odds are you're not going to get people in there. Odds are it's the fucking location that's screwing you over. It's not the people running the damn thing because they're doing all they can to market people to come out to the goddamn desert. What gall do you have to say such bullshit?
They should have had a $1 desert dogs night.
Desert dog night. Make it happen. Desert beer night. And then have people drive 45 minutes home.
Well, no, I mean, desert beer is really just sand. So, like, I don't think that promotion would work.
So it's only in glass bottles, but you have to make the bottles yourself?
Yes.
They give you the sand. But,
but you could go home with them.
Yeah.
So.
Might as well just make sand in a bottle. Those little colorful sand things we did in our
class. You still have one of those in your room, I think, back in Pasadena.
That's true. The parents' room. I have the one that we made in Ocean City, New Jersey.
Nice.
Why was that such a big deal?
I don't know.
So, it was either you went to Ocean City, right? So you either got the airbrushed shirt, something randomly embroidered, or the bottle of sand. Those were like the three hot objects, I believe. Or what was the other one? The the pictures that were in the little triangle things.
Oh, I have no idea.
That the people would walk on the beach and try to sell.
Oh,
the little the eye thingies,
scopes.
The scopes.
Scopes, yes, those things. Oh god,
those are a tradition. Like those, you go to the beach, you get some producer guy just taking shots of you on the beach, just having a fun time.
That's a completely different setup.
Wait, what? Said he had candy. Ocean City. I don't remember the last time I've been to Ocean City. Nowhere.
Ocean City, Maryland is a dump.
And Ocean City, New Jersey's any better?
Ocean City, New Jersey is more family.
Yeah,
plus, we have a free place to stay. So
no booze in Ocean City, New Jersey.
It's a dry town.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean, you can bring it in.
Oh.
They just don't sell it there.
Wow. I don't know if I like this place anymore. I don't know if I like this place to begin with.
Plus, my grandparents' house doesn't have air conditioning, so
Okay,
that's a little different. But
weird.
It's pink too. I feel like that is unique though. The not having air conditioning thing, I can live with. The pink house, good to go. Very unique.
Good. Yeah, that's a unique part. By the way, from Phoenix, Arizona, downtown proper to the Gila River Arena, fastest route 17.5 miles at 32 minutes.
That is my route to work.
How was the road between that point and the arena a 30-mile-per-hour road?
Construction and traffic incidents. You're going on I-10. There's going to be issues. Then you have to go up Route 6 at the 133B exit. So, yeah. The longer route the shortest route is 16.4, but it's 41 miles.
I see.
So you're losing about a mile of travel, but you're gaining like 9 minutes. Because you go around the town. Man, Phoenix is really fun.
Is this right now?
Like, this is as we speak right now.
Oh,
so
well, this is rush hour right now over there.
Not really. Like, it's the end of rush hour.
Yeah, it's 6:49 there, right?
Wait, did they go ahead or did they not go ahead? I'm confused. Arizona's
parts of Arizona don't use daylight savings time. So that was part of the funny thing today, right? So Adam asked me, like, all right, so we're 2 hours behind Eastern Standard Time, right, in Mountain Time, and I go, yeah, unless you're in like one of those random places where daylight savings time doesn't exist.
It's 5:50 in Phoenix, Arizona right now. It is 6:50 in Navajo County, Arizona.
Where the hold on, what?
It is 5:50
So in downtown
Phoenix.
Phoenix, it's an hour. They don't have daylight savings time.
They're on Standard Time, so they're in Pacific. They're technically on Pacific Time. So is Glendale. Glendale is now in Pacific Time.
No wonder there are no fans for the beginning of the game, because it takes you 45 minutes to get there, but you also lose an hour. Like, daylight savings time really has to screw with those people.
Oh God, it has to. Like, I'm trying to.
How
figure
long
out...
did it take you to get to the game tonight, honey? An hour and 15 minutes.
So, unlike every other, Arizona doesn't observe daylight savings time and hasn't done so for the last 40 years.
That's because Arizona are jerks.
Yeah, they're really weird. I'm going to ABC 15, and there's a story about why they don't do it.
Because they think they're better than everyone.
According to CNN, we may have reached the tipping point to the end of the clock-changing madness. A 2008 report from the Department of Energy says sticking with one time could save approximately 0.5% of electricity per day on the country. No, I don't want to. I don't care about Dan's Fresh Supermarket right now,
is
guys.
almost 10 years old, and we haven't done anything.
Guys, I don't care about Dan's Fresh Supermarket. I want to talk about time. Great, ham is $2.99 a pound. Get out of my face. He said they said that's enough to power 100,000 households. Another study showed that switching clocks causes 25% jump in heart attacks in the few days following the switch. What?
That's because it depends. I feel like it would depend, though, on how many clocks you have. Because if you have to run around your house and change the time on every single clock, I can get how that in itself will give you a heart attack. I understand.
Changed 2 clocks. I changed 2 clocks. One was in the bedroom. It just said, hey, switch to daylight savings time. I hit a button. It already changed for me. The second was in my car. And that was it. And I'm done.
What I normally go with is, so I turn the clock off on the microwave because I don't give a shit about that. There's zero reason why that needs to have a clock because it's literally above the stove. I changed it on the stove. And I changed it on the cassette cube that I have upstairs that wakes me up in the morning. And I changed it in my car. But like all of the watches that I wear, they change themselves. Like that's something that occurs now.
State was in this. Arizona's in the same time zone as Denver, so the Mountain Time Zone from November to March, and then Fall to Pacific Time from March to November. History daylight savings time is tied to energy conservation. Switching to daylight savings time in the summer means more sunlight at night, which in turn means homes don't have to turn on lights as early. The United States, including Arizona, has gone on daylight savings time in both World War I and World War II, but then gone off after the wars were over. So blah, blah, blah. Can we show why the farmers need this shit? Oh, the Navajo Indian reserves do follow daylight savings time, but reservations stretched across 4 different states.
Does that include the Gila River
no, it doesn't. It does
arena?
Not, sadly.
Does the arena itself just follow daylight savings time?
According to the APA, the Acolyte Protection Agency, following the start and end of daylight savings times, employees slept 40 minutes less and have 5.7% more workplace injuries and lost 67.6% more days because of injury than a non-phase change days. Explain the study conducted by Farouk Assad, to which he put "damn" at the end of it. The study looked at mining injuries between 1983 and 2006, where the mining industry died.
Because
that's
of
not in
daylight
there. I'm just
savings
putting that
time.
as a commentary. Yes, because no one goes to mining anymore. West Virginia is pretty much out of jobs because I want to talk about a bankrupt state. Let's talk about West Virginia a little bit. Holy crap. There's nothing there.
Nah.
So there we go. Nah.
Interesting.
There you go. That's the Acolyte Protection Agency talking daylight savings time. There we go.
I never knew that there was an Aquiline Protection Agency. That would be great.
Yeah,
The
you
Acolyte
don't-
Protection Agency?
You don't remember the Acolyte Protection Agency? Farouk and Bradshaw?
They were good. They did
They're
your
great.
taxes, right?
No, those were the taxmen.
No, that was IRS.
That was the IRS.
They're in our shyster, everybody. Oh, breaking news. We got some breaking news, ladies and gentlemen.
Uh-oh.
Artem Amisyov sidelined 3 to 4 weeks with what appears to be a
I think that was another
lower
concussion.
body injury.
Lower.
Close.
He got hit
Um,
hard, if I remember correctly.
Heard. We'll talk about this thing in a second. Also, apparently, Citi Field is expected to host a 2018 Winter Classic between the Rangers and the Sabres.
Imagine that.
The Rangers, again.
Who won't be the home
I also
team?
saw. I also saw something though that said that isn't that quite literally like the day after or 2 days after the USA Canada outdoor game that's in Buffalo?
Yes.
That's
And they're holding
great
it
scheduling
at Citi Field in Queens.
What is Cedar? That's the
That's the Mets Stadium.
Mets.
So they're not holding in
Hold on.
Buffalo. The outdoor game will
Okay.
not be held in Buffalo. The Rangers will not be the home team because of their agreement with Madison Square Garden.
But that does kind of force anybody that lives in Buffalo to be like, do I want to go to the World Junior game that's outdoor in Buffalo, or do I want to go to the Buffalo Sabres outdoor game that's in New York? That's 12 hours away.
Yes. Yeah. That's the report. I don't know. It's gonna be
I
fantastic.
feel like that is an absolutely terrible idea.
Yeah.
And so what are the so I've always been told that Mets fans were Islanders fans. So
Yes.
why are the Rangers playing in Mets Stadium again?
It's a great question.
Are they trying to convert? Like, is
It's
this some sort of like conversion to Scientology type of thing? Like, what's going on?
You know what, John? That's a really great question. The Hobie Baker Final 10 was announced today. What?
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I don't know. That's like, it seems stupid that, the Islanders aren't there. Ugh.
Maybe the Islanders will run in and be like the third team.
3-team matchup. Be great. 3-way dance. Have 6 nets. Be fantastic. I don't know why 6 nets. That seems stupid.
Yeah, there's only one net per team. They would have to put a third net on, really.
Yeah, really just the third net. You're right. Well, we'll see how that happens.
I mean, go with 6 nets. That's fine.
Yeah, why not? Multi-ball.
Make them play both goalies on each team.
There it is. That's how you do it. Islanders would still lose. Hobie Baker Final 10 announced. Only 3 players drafted. And then one guy who just got signed. So that's the Hobie Baker Awards. Hooray!
Do we want to
So
talk
it's,
about the women's team at all? We did some
We
before
can.
the show.
We can. We talked a little about before the show. Mark, I don't know if you were in with us.
No, he
when it
wasn't here
happened?
yet.
Okay. So the U.S. women's hockey team will I'm confused because the women said that they are not going to be playing in the upcoming World Championship. USA Hockey said no, hold on. So earlier today, Megan Dugan and Hillary Knight responded saying that they're going to boycott the upcoming Women's World Championship because of, I believe it was wage wage inequality?
It's the same fight that the U.S. women's soccer team is going for. They want the same like wages, hotel accommodations, youth system, basically like everything pretty much that the men's team has.
USA Hockey came out and rebuked that, as they are one to do. And here's what they said. The USA Hockey claims to be offering its players in preparation for the Olympics 6 months of training camp, additional sport to take 2. This is a good one.
Got it.
Additional support stipends and incentives for medals that could result in players receiving $85,000 over the training and performance period. Housing allowance, travel allowances, meal expenses, medical and disability insurance, and infrastructure that includes elite level support staff to train and prepare the players. Whereas the management is not willing to go far beyond that. So that's what's happening.
So pretty much what occurred was the USA Hockey said, we do all of this stuff for you already. And the women's hockey team was like, nope.
So there we go. That's the impasse in which we are at. God.
Sadly, I'm kind of on the side of this, that it's going to take something drastic like this to change things. And the U.S. women's team has been fighting. The soccer team has been fighting for this for a year now, right?
Yeah, at least.
But the problem is that no one would care if the U.S. soccer team was like, we're not going to play in this tournament that no one actually watches anyway. If they came out and was like, we're not going to play in the Olympics, people would be like, oh, ho, 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 whoa, 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 whoa. But I'm not. I don't.
To which point do you think that the USA Hockey at that point just picks an entirely different women's team?
But I feel like women's hockey is such like a tight knit group. Like there's not like a replacements that you could do. It's not like the I mean, you can't get Keanu Reeves to play. So like,
ooh, that's good. Little ladybugs mixed with the replacements.
Yes,
I'm in.
Mixed with Youngblood because he was the goalie in Youngblood.
But I mean, I don't think you find another team. Like you don't find another group of people that you can just be like, hey, you want to play for the USA? Here, go play in the World Championships. Like the USA just doesn't show up, and then Canada beats everybody 12-0.
The Swedes might put up a fight. That could be a 12-2 matchup.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, the women are taking a stand, rightfully so. I'm.
I have a question though. Does
go ahead.
Canada pay their players the same wage, or do the Canadians just not boycott things?
I don't know. I haven't looked.
Because I've never heard of the Canadians women's teams being like, you know what, we want all this stuff that the men get. You know, so like, do they pay them a wage that's decent in the first place? Like, how does it not get to that point, I guess, in Canada, which is the other massively big team? And we know, I mean, the Swedish, they're very passive group anyway. So,
well, and the government pays for a lot of Sweden's things just in general.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe it's not as big of a deal in Sweden, but I think that Canada is probably the closest to the U.S. In terms of this type of situation. And I wonder why we don't hear about the Canadian team doing anything. Because
trying to find
how terrible would a women's hockey tournament be if the US and Canada basically were like, you know what, we're not going. Like that's something
Canada
has to change.
Canada's government funded, partly because of government funded. Hockey Canada General Manager of Women's Program Melody Davis says the developmental players receive $900 a month. Senior level players $1,500 a month, even outside of Olympic years, and that players are supported full time for 9 months around the Olympics. They get paid for 6 months out of a 4-year span, is what the USA women are saying.
So, but even if, okay, so say you're one of the top, the 1,500. That is what, $16,000?
Yeah,
a year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the people. Now, I guess I just don't know. Like, does the men's team only make $16,000 a year, but they make so much more money playing for the NHL that it doesn't matter to them? Like,
that was my thought. Is like, how much do the men get paid by the actual sanctioning body?
Like, I would almost think that the men don't make money playing for the
I'm pretty sure
national
they
team.
don't.
No, I would say the same thing.
But in soccer, they do though. So in soccer, the men's team can make like $85,000 for like winning games and stuff, and the women's team in the U.S. makes like 10,
which is garbage.
So they do make money for playing for the United States. I don't understand how it works in hockey. I just don't get it. Like, you don't hear about stuff like this, I guess.
And I also think the fact that the U.S. or any kind of, there's not a national team anymore in North America in terms of, there's not a Canadian national team that plays year round. There's not a U.S. national team except for the developmental team that play in the USHL. I mean, you don't have a team like back in the day. You used to have it when it was amateurs, because that's where Sean Burke fucked off to when he had contract disputes with the Devils. He played for the Canadian national team around the Calgary Olympics, and they went around, they played exhibition games, and that was that. Like, you had a bigger outlet. Now that it's all pros, there's no Canadian national team that travels around anymore. So I don't know where the money comes from, or if they get paid, or, you know, this, that, and the other. So like that, I don't get hockey, how that would be interesting to see to USA Hockey about how much they pay the men and how much of a discrepancy there is between the men and the women, and how much of the men actually take the money, or else they decline. I don't think they decline it. They might take the travel and the room and board, but other than that, like win bonuses or something like that, maybe they don't take. I don't know.
Well, I mean, do they stay in better hotels? Like, that could be a thing. The women's soccer team had a massive issue with playing on turf,
artificial turf, right?
But then the men's team played a game on turf this year. So I don't know. I don't understand. I don't get how this is still a thing, I guess, is the way that the best way I can put it. I don't get how sports teams still have to fight for things like that. I understand it in college. The players don't actually get paid. The men's team probably bring in a lot more money than the women's team. I can tell you that for certain, refereeing soccer games at Maryland. There are far more people for the men's games than there are for the women's games. So I get it.
Same up here with North Dakota Hockey, is there's far more people for the men's game than the women's game.
Yeah, so I get it in the college game. But when you reach a national team, like, I don't understand it anymore. Even if the men are making hand over fist more money in ticket sales, etc., which, let's be honest, they're not in U.S. soccer. I don't get how that money isn't distributed evenly amongst the two teams. Because most of these people are professionals.
I guess
a shitload of money in the first place. The women's teams don't.
Here's my thing. If the money's the same, if USA Hockey pays the same amount of money to the men's and women's teams, if Hockey Canada does the same to the men's and women's teams, what is the, like, how can the women prove, or how can the women want differently, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, if the money's the same, then where do we go? Where do they go from there? Like, if the money for the men's side is the same as the money for the women's side, but because the men play professional hockey and make an absorbent amount of money, how is that on the sanctioning body or the federation?
I don't think it is.
Then are the women at that point going ahead and barking up the wrong tree in terms of who to go after?
I feel like they understand, though, that they're not going to make that money right now. In this time period, they understand they're not going to make that money in a professional league.
Right.
So trying to make that money on the national team, where they've had a lot of success, both the U.S. women's hockey and women's soccer have had tremendous success in their careers as national teams. So maybe that is the place that it starts. Maybe it starts on the national team and then filters out to the leagues. I don't know. I don't get it. But so what changes, though? So let's say it does occur that U.S. hockey is like, yeah, we're going to pay you the same amount that we pay the men. But we only bring the men in for 2 weeks before the Olympics. So you can't have a 6-month training session anymore.
Yeah.
Like, what does that occur?
Yeah, you're right. Like, where
Like,
where
are
does
there
it end?
concessions in that? Because, like, if you want exactly what the men get, then you have a 2-week training camp and you go to your tournament. That's what all men's hockey, soccer teams, etc. do.
You have a summer camp or an off-season camp, and then you have a camp 2 weeks prior to the games, and then that's it.
Yeah. So does that occur instead of the 6-month camp that U.S. hockey is currently running? And paying them, right, during that time.
For what I'm seeing, yes. In this story by ABC News, several players say USA Hockey has paid players $1,000 a month during their 6-month Olympic residency and nothing the rest of the time.
Okay. You should only get paid when you're playing for the national team.
Yeah, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I don't see why they have a problem with this. Like, someone debated the lawyer, the attorney for the players, saying they're looking for support for every year so that they don't have to have a second and third jobs and they don't have family supporting them.
Okay, so that is the wrong tree.
That is the wrong tree, yes.
That is the dead wrong tree. You don't that but I still kind of stand by my point. Like, maybe it starts with the national team and it filters outward that way. But if that's the thought, if that's the driving force behind everything, the logic is wrong.
Yeah, because the men are, and again, it's opportunity. The NWHL and CWHL are the areas which, first off, they have to merge. Let's stop with this 2 separate league horse shit. Like, I think that's where they have to go in terms of looking to, because if I understand, like, you want to play hockey professionally, you don't want to have these other jobs to offset your wages and stuff like that. But at the same time, I don't think going after your federation is the best way to go about it.
What if the U.S. women's team put together an actual U.S. women's team and they played in the ECHL?
If you got somebody, you have to have an owner to pay the money. Like,
I understand that.
If USA Hockey is willing to get,
they would be paid at that point, right? And it's probably a better wage than what they're currently getting.
Let's put them in the SPHL because they'll probably get murdered in the ECHL.
It's just a thought.
Sure, put them in a minor league is what you're saying.
Yeah, like, what if we played as a team? Because then I fully understand if USA Hockey is paying them for an entire period of time, like a full year, and in years that they're not going to tournaments.
Yes,
I fully understand that at that point, if they're quite literally playing together for 12 months out of the year. But it would have to be a minor league system somewhere.
And I think that would help twofold in that it helps the players play full year round with each other in where people are going to see them and not the Women Worlds where we just watch highlights. And it's also going to help the league that they get put into because it's going to bring exposure to that league and bring exposure out to the people over there. So it works twofold for everybody. And then everyone makes more money that way.
The U.S. men's soccer team actually played as a team in the NASL in, I think it was like 1991, 92-ish. So it was after they had gotten into a World Cup, but before it, like, soccer got big in the United States. Well, big enough that there was a World Cup here.
Sure.
So they quite literally played as a team together in what now would be considered the biggest professional league at the time, but is not any longer. So maybe that's another route. I don't know. You can see though. So in soccer, you can see when the U.S. women's best players are starting to go overseas in order to make more money. You can see that there's something wrong with the system.
Right, but that's not up to the sanctioning body because it's these independent people who own these leagues that have started these leagues.
Correct.
So
that's a league issue.
That's not a Fed issue. And yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if there's a rebound for that. Like, if the Fed just completely kicks them off, like which they won't, because
Well, they won't. But what happens if they don't actually go to this tournament? What occurs then?
nothing.
Wait,
No,
so they've already
honestly,
set the precedent there that they're going to strike and not go to a tournament if something doesn't occur, right? So the next big time that we actually talk about this is the Olympics.
it's going to be in another 11 months?
2 years? Oh no, it's next year. It's
Hell, I would say the next by year's end. But by that time they'll figure it out, because if they're gonna hold them hostage, but I think the biggest thing is that it's held in Michigan this year, the Women's Worlds. So that's a hit to the U.S.
Interesting.
Yeah, which is very interesting, because that's going to be a huge hit to the box office, which USA Hockey gets. To that end, is USA Hockey going to hold a grudge? In my history with USA Hockey, they're going to hold a grudge.
Really?
I know it's unfounded, but somehow, some way, they're going to hold a grudge.
But here's the great part, though. They'll give you 2 cases of Heineken Light afterwards.
That's fine. That's fine. You know what? In that case, you're right.
They'll be warm though.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But yeah, they'll be warm, and they'll be like,
But
"Yeah,
could
no,
you
gotta
really
figure
tell
it
the
out."
difference in taste? Let's be honest.
By the way, former USA Hockey World Junior head coach Walt Kyle in the news, as he was fired by Northern Michigan, the Wildcats, after 15 years. 14 years.
Mark
and
is
then
super angry about that. He's throwing shit.
Jesus.
Is there any respect for people's careers these days?
And then about 3 hours later, he was arrested on 2 counts felony warrant.
Oh, all right. Man, the firing might have been warranted.
The charges include residential mortgage fraud of $100,000 or less, and forgery of documents affecting real property.
Oh, I have so many questions. Under $100,000?
Under $100,000.
You're risking fraud over under $100,000?
$100,000 or less.
Yeah, but Real Documents is probably a new soccer team in the area. So
that's true.
It is Northern Michigan. Who knows what's going to happen with them? But apparently, Walt Kyle, his then wife, I think, or whatever, she gave him power of attorney, and then he signed in her right because he had power of attorney. So he thought, hey, that's not a bad idea. So
he kept doing it.
Kept doing it over and over and over again. So that's what happened. Is apparently he signed his wife's name to documents that she's like, wait a minute, I didn't do this. So, attorney says he's entirely innocent, shockingly enough. And there you go. On that. While still married, Mr. Kyle and his then wife jointly decided to refinance an existing bank loan in order to complete certain home repairs. Mr. Kyle did nothing more than sign his wife's name to the loan documents with his wife's full knowledge and consent. And then
what could go wrong?
Yeah, he gave general power of attorney, and then he divorced. During the subsequent divorce proceedings, Ann Kyle sought to avoid responsibility for the loans by falsely claiming no knowledge of them. That didn't work, and the judge in the divorce correctly determined the loan was a joint debt. This loan was paid in full during divorce proceedings. So apparently, the ex-wife then went to the local sheriff's deputy to seek charges, despite the existence of a valid power of attorney. That
Ex-wives are angry people.
Yeah, really? You think? Think about the shit that I'm going through that I have.
Just throwing that out there.
I have another court thing to deal with now. Fuck. Boy, this one's bad.
Do I need to send another letter?
Dude, you're going to have to send a cavalry, I'm sure.
There are Italians in Canada.
I know there are several. I need to figure this whole thing out. Anywho, I don't know. Falling back to the women's thing. After we get done through the forgery of hockey now. I don't know. I don't know where this begins and ends, and how you if they boycott the thing at home, what's going to make what's gonna in the next 10, 11 months make them move to the point where the Olympics, or is USA Hockey going to try to call their bluff and say, hey, you have precious few years to represent your country in the Olympics. Are you going to do it, or are you just going to sit home?
I think that's
where
a
USA
very
goes
interesting thing to me, and I feel like that is USA Hockey's ploy, but I also feel like that is a lot of companies' ploys who are like, well, I mean, you want to work for us, so we don't have to pay you.
Right. So that's what we've been doing. We want to work for this, so that's why we're not paying ourselves.
So the last letter I wrote said that we never make money on the show, so
and God knows we haven't. Or else I wouldn't be in the palatial studio of the Dakotas, as Todd Butts tells the people at home for the other podcast I do.
It's better than the Palace.
That is true at Auburn Hills. Yeah, I don't know where this goes. I don't know if USA Hockey tries to call their bluff, but knowing USA Hockey, they're going to try to call their bluff in every aspect.
I agree completely. Knowing USA Hockey, they're going to be like, fine, don't play.
Okay, don't play.
I did. So a lot of the women's U.S. soccer team also kind of hopped on the bandwagon and started like retweeting the stuff from Hillary Knight as well, and being like, nice work, like this, that, and the other thing. I don't know. When it's something big, I think people will notice. I'm not sure if people notice the World Championships. Maybe for women's hockey they do, because that's a big tournament for women's hockey. Especially in the U.S.
It is, but it isn't though. Like it's not Olympic levels because it's not broadcasted on TV, as far as I know.
Yeah, but it's their second.
It's the second biggest thing. Yeah.
Yeah, like the women's soccer team has the World Cup and the Olympics, and both of them are massive events. The women's hockey team, I feel like, just has the Olympics as being a massive event, and then the World Championships might be their second tournament.
Yeah, that's it. Four Nations Cup. That's about it. Like the beginning of the season one.
Yeah, the Four Nations Cup is kind of like this She Believes Cup that is a made-up tournament the U.S. plays in.
What tournament is this?
The She Believes Cup. It's like the top 4 teams in the world come and play against each other. But it's literally a made-up tournament that Nike created for the U.S. soccer team.
Fair enough. Well, if you're getting Nike money, then I think you're fine. I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting to see here in the next couple of weeks.
They're not. U.S. soccer is.
Oh.
Yeah.
The training camp is scheduled for the USA Women's March 21st.
Isn't it 2 weeks away, like the tournament?
The tournament starts the 31st. So, yeah, it's 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
Training camp starts in 6. So.
I have a really bad feeling that USA Hockey is just going to be like, well, fine. We saved a shitload of money not sending you guys there.
Guess what, guys? It's in Michigan. We're going to keep all the gate receipts. Good luck to you. And then if this will be a big thing if it happens. I don't think it's going to happen.
You don't think that they won't play, or that US?
I don't think that they won't play.
Mm.
I don't think that they won't play. Sheerly I think they might come to some kind of temporary resolve, but I don't think they're skipping out on the World Championship. For some reason, I don't think they're skipping out on the World Championship. I'm probably wrong, totally wrong, but I don't know. There's something deep down in my stomach that's kind of just like, because that's a risk. It's a risky move on both sides. USA
that
Hockey
might be in a pasta though.
Yeah, it could be. I had Little Caesars. The crazy bread could be a little crazy. I mean, USA Hockey doesn't have too much to lose. They have a little bit of face to lose, but I think the women's team itself has a lot more to lose because they can't gain it back. I don't think. You know what I mean? Like they can't.
I'm not sure that they lose much though.
No,
I'm not.
They lose,
not with
lose playing and representation. I think that's all.
Yeah, but not with the Olympics coming up in less than a year.
Sure.
I don't think they lose much in this tournament. Like this is a very good play. because so worst case scenario, right, is USA hockey. Sorry, I just keep talking about soccer. I know way more about the USA soccer team.
It's a kind of a correlation, so I think you're fine.
USA hockey tells them to go pound sand, right? And the USA women's team is like, all right, well, fine, we're not playing. So that's great. All well and good. It starts a conversation, is worst case scenario. They have 10 months to figure out what exactly that needs to be. But they have a 6-month training camp. So at best, they have 4 months to get this correct, right?
Yeah, September, maybe
5 months, depending upon how the training camp gets to the Olympics. That's not a lot of time.
No.
That isn't an amount of time that you go, okay, we can fix everything and you can play in the Olympics, right? Like, there's a temporary stopgap that occurs to get them to play in the Olympics. But it's not fully what they want. And USA hockey is fully going to be like, well, whatever. They play in the Olympics. There's another 4-year gap in actual, like, quote unquote, real tournaments that USA hockey plays in. So
here's the play. If the women's national team, as we see it right now, does not go to the Olympics, USA hockey takes women in colleges. They use the amateur route. And then this way, the women's professional leagues don't have to shut down for 2 weeks. And as their players, as the American players, who I think, for all intents and purposes, make up probably half the league, if not more, in the.
Well, wouldn't it be perfect timing? I mean, if the NHL's not going to go.
True. I mean, it would be, you know what? You keep. I say they go the amateur route. They take college players, and the pro leagues stay open, and the women's leagues gain people going out there and supporting the women in the professional leagues to help them make a living wage by playing professional sports. Does that make sense at all? By them not going to the Olympics hurts the federation, but it gains them a little bit more monicum of legitimacy by staying in the professional thing, and then people getting on the bandwagon supporting the women's team that way.
But does that happen?
Does it happen?
Yes. Because when Saskia was here, right, she talked a lot about how people follow women's sports because of patriotism.
Sure.
Because of these big events, the World Championship, the World Cup, the Olympics. So if USA Hockey decides that they're going to go a college route for the Olympics, people stop watching women's hockey.
That's another way to look at it. You know, you're right.
I don't think people band behind the prior women's hockey teams and say, I'm going to go and watch the Boston Pride now. I just don't think that occurs. I think that what occurs is that people stop watching women's hockey.
I think it could occur in the climate that we are today of social media. I think it does occur because it's a cause. It's a cause to help women's professional sports become legitimate with the men's professional sports. It's not going to be on the same level as quickly, but you can actually pay more attention to it and help the women's plight to become a legitimate professional league, kind of like the WNBA in terms of the standard building. Of course, you have to have a partnership with the actual men's professional league.
Yeah, the WNBA has a different infrastructure.
Sure, absolutely. But I think USA Hockey has nothing to lose, I think, in all this. They have a little pride to hurt, but they can fill people with college players. They can fill it with college players and get their chance into the amateur route. I don't know. I don't know how this ends bad for everybody, I think.
I agree completely.
It ends bad for us because I'm confusingly painting myself into a corner. Because I get both sides of it, and I think if the women do boycott the Olympics, which would be huge, that's a huge statement on their behalf, saying, you know what, we want to have a better wage in terms of this. We need, and it's also like, well, we're gonna stay with this professional things because we believe in it, than having to shut a league down for 6 months.
Yeah, but here's the problem, right? So, in the beginning of MLS was shit.
Sure.
They didn't pay players very well. The product that was on the field was terrible. And what occurred was a company, Adidas, in this case, came in and said, we will pay you $150 million for 10 years to make all the jerseys for every team in MLS. We'll give you the balls. We'll give you referee jerseys, every jersey in MLS, everything that people wear in MLS outside of their own cleats or their own goalie gloves will be Adidas. And MLS said, that keeps us afloat for more than 10 years. And what occurred was Adidas coming in and giving them all of that money up front saved the league. Now, where they are 20 years later, or so, 21-ish years later, I think, they're at a 22-team league where quite literally places around the United States are making soccer-specific stadiums for MLS teams. But none of that ever occurs without Adidas coming in and saving the league in the beginning of it all. What needs to occur is there needs to be one of those big corporate sponsors that comes in and says, we make all the jerseys in the league. We'll pay you X amount of dollars for the next 10 years. We make all the jerseys. You can play with your own sticks. You can play with your own gloves. You can play with your own skates, whatever. Every jersey that comes in and out of this league is Reebok. And everything that comes out of this league, hats, t-shirts, etc., is Reebok. And we'll pay you $100 million up front, $150 million up front, whatever it is. That's how these women's leagues stay afloat. I don't see it staying afloat because they decide they don't want to play in a world championship.
NWHL missed payments to Bauer. Bauer was the... Because I was looking at like, didn't Bauer do something? I remember something like that.
Bauer didn't come in and say, we're going to give you a shitload of money so that we make everything.
You know what? Very true.
They gave them discounted gear. Like
right.
You could get an email because you're a rewards member and have gotten the same fucking price as they got for their gear.
That's true. So,
but that's what needs to occur. Like somebody needs to go out and be like, we need this real Nike, come in. You spend a shitload of money on all these players and all of this stuff already. Even if it's a loss, you can write that off. But what we need is a bunch of money up front here. And we'll give you... It's like Shark Tank.
Yes.
I mean, sadly, that's literally what MLS did. Like, I think it was 5 years into it, maybe 6. MLS was dying. It was gone. And Adidas, they went to Adidas Shark Tank style, and it was like, sure, here's $150 million for 10% of your stake. Or whatever. But I think that's what saves women's sports, women's professional sports. The WNBA, I feel like, is a completely different infrastructure. But it's very, very telling that players like Carly Lloyd and Alex Morgan are going to Europe in order to play soccer in a league that's decently inferior to leagues that are in the United States, because the U.S. has most of the really good players, and the really good players in Europe come to the United States to play in the league. They just can't make enough money here.
Yeah. Oh,
and that's a very telling thing.
Yeah.
I was very close to asking Adam, like, what if he had another project that would come up with hockey. And I almost feel like the group from the Ice Guardians would be absolutely fantastic delving into why women's hockey isn't at the place that women believe it should be. Like, I feel like the way that they did the Ice Guardians documentary and the DVD that's coming out, etc., like they could do that same thing for women's hockey.
Bitch, you got his email. You can email him.
I'll email him and ask him. I have
Yo,
a
yo,
cell
what-
phone. I can call him.
There you go. Yo, what up? What up, B? All right. That was good discussion. Good chat. Good chat. Let's end the show now. Let's not go any further.
All right.
It's time to go. Johnny,
We'll
you gotta-
end on a Dan high note.
There you go. Johnny P. Shout outs.
I am going to give a shout out to not going to work for 2 days.
Woo.
I have a weekend before a weekend.
Shit, son.
True story. I have a shout out to Ed Sheeran concerts. I might be going to one of them this summer.
Interesting.
I'm debating if I should buy a Champions League referee jersey because of the whole Mark Clattenburg incident with going to Ed Sheeran concerts and such. Sean Leahy'll get it.
They got it.
So I might. I'm not sure. I got a new Caps hat. I love this thing. So this is the New Era 920. It came as a trucker hat that is already vintage.
Nice.
Yeah, fully brand new on the inside of the hat.
Everything else, man.
Outside of the hat looks like it's run through. I've run it through like dirt and such. So it's the perfect bandwagon hat. Look for it, people. And yeah, shout out to Ice Guardians and Adam for making his way on the show. Good guy. I wouldn't mind having him on again sometime. So
Absolutely. Mark.
Shout out to Mr. Adam McClure. Happy birthday. Doubt he's listening, but the Ides of McClure need to be celebrated everywhere.
or else they'll
Shout out
stab
to
you in the
Julius
back.
Caesar. Yeah, and and Brutus. And not the mug from whatever restaurant used to serve Brutus mugs. Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much all I got. I'd say we're going up to Baltimore this weekend to go hang out with McClure for his birthday. So shout out to Hudson because we're going there for the Caps game.
Nice. Solid work. All right. I'd like to give a shout out to Adam Scorgi, as Johnny said before. Good dude. IceGuardians.com, place to go for all the VOD, DVD, and screening informations. Jesus, do I have any more shout outs? I didn't do anything. Shout out to being lazy, but a diss to me not doing another farm report. It's like every 3 weeks I'm doing one. So we'll see. Yeah, I got nothing else. I haven't done anything. I gotta go work now. So a diss to late night working, but here we are. That's it. For Johnny P, Rock with a C. I'm Scotty Watts. Take care of yourself. Someone else has been Face Off Hockey Show on faceoffhockeyshow.com. It's also our Tumblr, our Twitter, Face Off HCKY Show, and our Facebook, FOHS Radio. So when you guys have a chance, go like and subscribe to all that crap. We'll see you in a week's time. We'll have more stuff. We'll have more expansion draft protected lists. That's what we didn't talk about. Fuck.
We'll do it next week.
Yeah, because I want Lyle in on this rage. We'll just break it right here. NHL stole our bit. They're broadcasting the expansion draft. Fuck them. We'll talk more about that next week. But we had a better discussion with the women's thing. So there you go. That's a better discussion than me ranting and raving about stealing an idea that I never had in the first place. All right. Bye, everybody. Peace.